You probably think you're confident. You've told yourself that before, in the mirror, in your head, before walking into a room. But if that's true, why do people still talk over you? Why do opportunities slip through your fingers? Why do you keep replaying what you should have said hours later? That reaction you just felt, that small sting in your chest, that's your mind recognizing a truth it's been avoiding. Confidence isn't what you say about yourself, it's what your psychology reveals about you. And right now, you're about to understand why the world reads you differently than you see yourself. There are patterns you've been performing without realizing it, invisible habits that everyone else can see. If you think you know confidence, keep listening. Because in a few minutes, you'll realize it's not what you thought it was. People read you before they hear you. Your tone, your eyes, your hesitation. They broadcast what's happening in your mind long before your words arrive. Psychologists call this thin slicing, the brain's ability to form a lasting impression in less than 7 seconds. You can spend years building a resume, but someone's mind decides whether you're confident in less than a breath. They're usually right. Not because they can see your soul, but because your body exposes what your mind tries to hide. Every shrug, every nervous laugh, every sorry before you speak, it all tells a story. People aren't judging, they're observing. You can't fake what your nervous system doesn't believe. Confidence doesn't vanish overnight. It's trained out of you piece by piece. As a child, you might have been told not to be too loud, not to draw attention, not to make people uncomfortable. You learned that standing out drew criticism, so you learned to stand back. That pattern became automatic, a mental script that whispers, safety comes from silence. Even now, your body still follows it. That's why your voice shakes when you need it most, why your ideas die in your throat. It isn't weakness, it's conditioning. Psychologists call this learned helplessness, when your mind starts to believe effort doesn't matter. Even when the door is open, you don't walk out. You stay small, hoping someone will notice. You confuse calm with smallness, agreement with respect. But that silence you use for safety is the very thing that makes people overlook you. Your silence doesn't protect you, it erases you. What people actually sense when they think you lack confidence isn't about worth. It's about alignment. Your words and your body don't agree. You say you're fine, but your tone trembles. You nod yes, but your eyes pull away. That mismatch tells them something's off, even if they can't explain it. They also sense hesitation, not the thoughtful kind, but the fearful kind, the one that waits for permission. And finally, they feel distance. Confidence draws people in, uncertainty keeps you slightly out of reach. These aren't flaws, they're reflexes. And now that you can see them, you can change them. Here's what most advice gets wrong. You can't think your way into confidence. You have to prove it to your own brain. Psychologists call this self-perception theory. You act first, and belief follows. Your mind watches what you do and uses that as evidence for who you are. If you keep acting uncertain, your brain records that as truth. If you start taking small, uncomfortable actions, speaking up, finishing what you start, your brain begins to rewrite your story. And that's how confidence grows, through repetition, not revelation. But there's another reason confidence disappears, and it's subtle. It's called the spotlight effect. Your brain overestimates how much people notice you, so you become self-conscious even when no one's paying attention. You assume every mistake, every awkward pause, every stumble is being watched, but it's not. People are too busy thinking about themselves. The fear of judgment keeps you stuck in imaginary scrutiny. You edit your personality to avoid being misunderstood, and in doing so you lose the very presence that earns respect. Real confidence begins the moment you stop performing for imaginary eyes, when you stop obsessing over how you appear and start caring about what you stand for. Everything shifts. The voice that trembled before now carries weight, not because it's perfect, but because it's honest. And honesty, not perfection, is what makes people trust you. Confidence is not the art of pretending to be fearless. It's the science of becoming familiar with fear until it no longer runs your decisions. Every confident person you've ever admired still feels fear. They just stopped interpreting it as a warning and started treating it as a signal that they're growing. That's what exposure therapy teaches us. Your anxiety drops not because the world gets safer, but because you get stronger. Each repetition teaches your brain, I survived that. And eventually fear stops being your gatekeeper. So here's the truth. You don't build confidence by trying to convince yourself you're special. You build it by proving to yourself you're capable. You show up when it's inconvenient. You speak when your voice shakes. You stop negotiating with hesitation. If you're still listening, that means a part of you is tired of playing small. Tired of being overlooked, misunderstood, quiet when you know better. And that's a good sign, because awareness always comes before change. From this point forward, treat every moment of doubt as data. When you feel yourself shrinking, ask, what am I trying to protect? You'll notice it's not your dignity you're protecting. It's your comfort. And comfort is a cage with nice walls and no freedom. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's your decision to stop bowing to it. It's not built in the spotlight. It's built in the quiet moments when no one is watching and you still choose to show up. You don't need to be loud. You need to be certain. Certain that your worth isn't up for debate. Certain that hesitation doesn't make you humble. It makes you unheard. Certain that the version of you you've been editing to fit in was never the real you at all. So speak up. Even if your voice shakes. Show up. Even if your hands tremble. Because every time you act, your mind records evidence. And soon the person who once whispered, I can't, will start to say, I did. Confidence isn't found in shouting louder. It's found in standing taller when everything in you wants to disappear. And when that moment comes, when you finally stop waiting to feel ready, you'll realize you already were.